Welcome back to White Knuckle Nation. We are here today to discuss Thomas and his rig Carbon and what they're going to do with their new lift. Patrick?
We are going to be installing a rock crawler 4.5-inch silverback unlimited stage 1 lift, which is long arms front and rear with a triangulated rear, so we can delete the rear track bar. And we're going to have rock crawlers rebuildable shocks to go with it.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to show you the reasons that Thomas chose rock crawler and some of the things that they're going to do to make this lift perform really great out on the trail.
Sweet. Sounds good.
All right, you boys ready?
Yep.
Let's do it.
All right, we made some quick little notes. So of course we're gonna kind of go over a few things on what the plan is, what we're gonna do. It is kind of not necessarily completely lengthy, but there's some big key points that we're gonna be touching on when it comes to this. So first, the current lift that's on here now is the 4-inch ready lift. It's been great. It's done wonders on the trails. Surprisingly, it gets really good articulation for what kind of intermediate. I'd say it's more of an intermediate. What do you think?
It is. It lower control arms are replaced. It gets a different set of springs. It gets some great flex on the trail. It does pretty good for what it is for a basic intro kit.
For on the CTI ramp that Metal Cloak's really big on trying to get the articulation from the front side to the back side, just so you can see how much travel you get on their lift. With the ready lift, it scored a 730. So, which is really good compared when you look at the Metal Cloak's charts on the lifts. It's kind of right there in the middle from your high ends to your low ends.
Which is also really good considering it's technically a mid-arm system with factory length control arms. The bottoms are a little bit longer, but the uppers are completely factory control arms.
One thing that makes it more intermediate is that the lower control arms, they're fixed, so they are not adjustable. So however it comes from ready lift, it comes with a certain length, and you're using the factory uppers.
Yeah. And what did it do on the RTI ramp?
The RTI ramp, so ours is 30 degrees, right?
Yes, sir.
So we got up at 67 inches from the bottom to the middle of the front tire. So I'm not for sure exactly we got to figure out what the score is, because most of your RTI ramps are going to be 20 degrees. So ours is set up at 30 degrees, so we got to figure out the math on that, but we'll let y'all know later on.
All right, you boys ready?
Yeah. All right, so on the front kit, we're going to get new coils and everything like that. We're going to get different links for the sway bar, so you still run that factory Rubicon sway bar. It gives you the disconnect to allow you to disconnect it inside. You don't have to, replace the sway bar or anything like that. We will also be getting the long arm kit. So long arm kit will move the mounts from the factory location right here and right here. It'll keep this axle mount, and it'll come all the way back here, and it'll replace this frame cross member, or the transmission cross member, and put your mount right in here. And then it'll have a bracket that'll weld to the frame and connect into this. It'll allow your arms to come all the way through this little area right here, tying up here, tying in the lower. And just that long arm allows you to get that extra droop and articulation that you need out on the trail. It keeps the tires in contact with the ground better to allow the lockers and tires to work and get the most traction out there.
What about on-road with the long arm versus the mid-arm?
So the on-road, I know you think how to say this, because I know what I want to say.
It doesn't make a difference on-road, Thomas.
That's it. We're only focused about off-road. On-road, forget it.
Actually, sometimes on the on-road, because the length is a little bit longer, it will allow a little bit better ride. So it's not like the angles aren't crazy, because sometimes you get that crazy steep angle. It'll send more vibrations and road bumps up into the chassis. So it will help out with keeping them all the way back.
The long arm on mine definitely does that. Makes it a lot softer.
It does,
right?
yeah.
So, and on the trail.
Really and I mean, like on my personal shop GAK, I have a long arm in the rear and just a rock crawler mid arm up front, and it you can definitely tell the difference. And the rear rides a whole lot better than the front mid arm. It rides good, but you can tell there's a difference having that extra length to allow it to soak up the bumps a whole lot better. Also on the control arms we're going to be using, we're going to be using the rock crawler ones, but they won't have the rock crawler joints. They'll have their new crawler joints in it, which is a difference between, it's kind of like a combination of their adventure joint and their rock crawler joint. It allows a little bit more articulation and misalignment of the axle, but it also has a more rubber inside the joint to give you that better ride, but not as much as the Adventure series. So it's like a combination.
Almost like a hybrid.
Yeah, like a hybrid.
Is it a maintenance-free joint?
Yes, yes it is.
So no need to grease those.
No greasing.
Yeah, no greasing, because that's the good thing about a lot of it. A lot of people, forget they got to grease their joints before they go out, or just at a period of time when they're doing their oil changes. So it helps. It's for that. It's a maintenance-free joint. Allows you to just kind of bolt them in and just forget about them for a while.
Yeah, because the biggest thing too with the Gladiator is that it's not just going to be strictly for rock crawling and going to play out in the woods and the hills and the trees and the bumps and rocks, but it's also my daily driver. So the more maintenance free, they're not going to have to be serviced as often. So it's more or less just routine maintenance and checks to make sure that there's no tears in the bushings and make sure everything's functioning properly, but also not having to constantly grease them, lube them to make sure that they're functioning.
Yeah, keep all the noises out of them, because some of those greasable and serviceable joints, if you don't take care of them, they start making lots of noises, and then they don't flex as well because grime and dirt gets built up in them, and then you have to rebuild them. So it makes it nice that these are a fully sealed unit, but still allow you to have the flex of almost have all the flex of the other joint, like their big Rock Crawler Pro Series joints.
Like 3-link or anything like that.
Yeah, that's fine.
But, is that bracket for a 3-link?
I do not know.
That's interesting.
It is an interesting.
I just saw that.
Definitely would not. I don't think it would hold a 3-link because of the thinness of the metal. But I wonder what it is for.
You could reinforce it.
We could, but that is different. I've never paid attention to that on the Gladiators.
I just happened to look up over when we were talking about it, and I was like, "Can we put a 3-link in there?"
I mean, technically, it would come down to right here. It'd be.
Yeah, it's pretty much in line.
We'd have a little bit of misalignment, but we could get it to work. We'd have to put a truss up here and then shoot our bar right there. But similar how mine's set up.
Interesting.
Because everything shifts. We had to do a lot of misalignment because if you notice, everything shifts that way.
Yeah.
Because of the track bar.
Yeah.
All right.
That would be interesting. Anyway, I digress.
Well, sorry about that tangent. I don't know if we're recording right now.
Yeah, we are. We are.
You're hot now.
Oh.
We've been hot.
So, sorry about the tangent.
we
We're
are
going to
hot.
get back into talking about the Rock Crawler 4.5-inch triangulated kit. It's a silverback kit we're going to be putting on this Gladiator. So, in the silverback kit, you get a truss that bolts on or welds on. We're going to weld it on because it makes it stronger and it makes it a little bit, you don't have to worry about the tubes twisting in the axles, because that has happened before on these. I've seen it and it's pretty interesting when your pinion starts pointing up and the tires are where they're not supposed to be. And with the silverback, with the truss right here, it moves the upper link mount from being right here on the axle, which you can see there right here, and in front of the springs, to putting them right up top. So it's going to kind of form a triangulation up to the upper mounts. Rock Crawler on this kit uses the factory mounts in the rear. What it will do with the joints it has and the upper and lowers is it'll allow us lots of flex, which is even going to help even more with the flex, is when you triangulate the rear, it keeps the rear axle centered, so we can delete this whole rear track bar right here, which basically this is what you would consider, it's a 4-link with a track bar, which some people call it a 5-link. We're going to turn this into a true 4-link setup with the upper triangulation.
So what's the big difference? Because this would be considered your parallel link with the track bar versus the triangulated. What's the big differences?
So the big difference is the triangulated, like I said, allows you to get rid of the track bar and allows more flex, less binding, because this is a set distance, a set length. So this is going to follow as the axle goes up, it's going to follow up, and it's going to sort of push it to the driver's side. As it comes down, because it's a set length, it's going to pivot on this bolt and pivot on this one. It's going to pivot this way, and it kind of always shifts to the driver or the passenger side when it drops out. And it won't do that when we have the triangulated uppers. It'll keep it nice and centered and allow it to flex out and drop out like it needs to. Okay, also on this rear lift kit, because if you look right here, you can see there's a split in this sway bar link mount up top. It is also broken on the other side. A lot of the Gladiators are doing this because you can even see in the bolt how the bolt is being pulled down because the axle's dropped out, and how the bolt is actually at an angle right there and not straight. We're gonna put a Rock Jock anti-rock rear sway bar on this. It's gonna move the sway bar above the frame and then bring the link mats down to the axle. They will allow that rear end to keep the sway bar in and articulate like they need to. It'll feel a little bit like softer on the road because this factory sway bar is always your best. You know, your best if you want to prevent sway and everything like that. But it's not your best one for off-roading. So the Rock Jock is going to give us a great combination of both, but it's more set up to do away with having to run this factory mount right here and have to worry about this splitting any more than it already is, or us bracing it up. And we're going to get the articulation out of the system and not have to and still get sway for on the road.
So what if we just completely eliminated the sway bar together? What's the differences of just keeping the front, but what are the different factors on versus running a sway bar versus no sway bar?
So running a rear sway bar, on not having a rear sway bar, is going to allow, on the road, you're going to feel the Jeep move around in the rear end a little bit more, because the sway bar takes the movement of the vehicle and uses this bar that's under tension to keep it from swaying.
Dampen it.
Yeah, dampen it. Thank you, Dustin.
You're welcome.
Where if you delete it, you're definitely not going to have it. You're not going to have any dampening or anything like that. It's just going to you're going to feel that the rear end of the Jeep move. It's going to dance a little bit.
Really
yeah, it's going to
bad.
float a little bit more. I like them. It allows you to still have a good on-road manner, especially when you go to the anti-rocks, but it allows you to still get that maximum flex off-road. And that's what we're going to get here, and we don't have to worry about splitting mounts.
So getting their anti-rock, it's more so best of both worlds. So you're not going to be fully stiff, but you're going to still be able to get the articulation that you're looking for when you go off-road.
And some of the factory front sway bar in and the rear anti-rock in, somebody's gonna be able to, you're gonna be able to put anybody in this Jeep and they'll be able to jump in it, and they're not gonna be like, well, this thing's like floating all over the road, because sometimes that will cause, and they'll be able to drive it. You can literally throw your grandma into this and let her drive it, and she'll be good to go. She's not gonna be able to tell too much of a difference.
She'll just need the step stool because of
Yes, because of the height and everything like that. When we put 40s,
I will probably need a step stool to be able to get in and out of it.
All right. So you all heard earlier we were talking about replacing the rear sway bar. This is the anti-rock kit we're going to be going with. It includes all the brackets and everything you need. Detail instructions are online, makes it a little bit easier than having to worry about the papers. These are the steel arms, and it includes nice brackets. Everything's powder coated. It's a great kit. I run one of these on the front of my JK and really enjoy it.
So what we'll eventually do is we'll retest on the ramp with the factory rear sway bar link. We'll disconnect it, do another test to see what kind of distances we can get in flex, and then we'll put the anti-rock on it, and then we'll piece it all together so that we can show y'all what the differences are from the factory versus no sway bar and what the anti-rock.
Yeah, because we have a nice, cool ramp out there that we're going to eventually turn into a mobile unit that we can take to places, so people can try out their Jeeps at different events and all the fun stuff.
Good fun stuff. Lots of fun stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then we'll take it out on the trails and then really see this thing in action.
Not the RTI ramp. It won't do very good.
No,
on
the
the trails.
RTI definitely not.
It's a pain in the butt to move
Definitely
right now.
not.
So
For sure.
we're not taking it to the trails. It's got 4-inch diameter tires.
Well, we
They're
could
skinny.
take it out on the trails, but there's no sense in it when we got rocks that we can use.
Yeah, the rocks will be our RTI ramps.
Yes.
And the different hills, and making sure we have all the traction and everything like that.
Good fun stuff. Awesome. Do we have an ETA on the rock crawler stuff yet?
We do not have an ETA. I will have that hopefully tomorrow, but I think we should be getting close.
I know it's getting close.
Yeah,
It's
we
getting
were
real close.
we were at a 5-week period, but that's they're behind, just trying to keep up with orders, and
Especially with the new joints and
Yeah.
the new stuff that they're upgrading and
that was the
making things better.
things we were waiting on was the upgraded joints. So we should be good to go, and when we get that here, we'll be doing a whole long series, or I don't know if it's gonna be a long series. We're gonna do something. We're gonna do a whole probably weekend.
Chapters.
Yeah.
There's going to be, we're going to be piecing together a series. So whenever we go to do it, so this will be the intro. This is going to be the main part of the series. But then when we start breaking it down on what we're going to be doing with carbon here, basically we'll break up probably a series doing the front, then another one for the back, and then as we go throughout the year. But 2024, it's looking like it's going to be a really big year for carbon and Goldilocks.
Oh yeah, gonna take them to some nice fun trails in the state of Kentucky and in Tennessee, hopefully, and hopefully we're so we can find some and go have fun.
Awesome. So yeah, we can go over just the different lifts here, or the different companies that are out there, systems that are all great. But like I said, we don't necessarily need to hit all of those, but you know more in tune on the best ones to look at. These are just ones that I've heard big names on, and then we can touch on the reason why I was originally going to go with Metal Cloak, and then decided not to go with Metal. I'd always been looking at Metal Cloak and Rock Crawler between the two. And Metal Cloak 1 is good due to the fact that it is bolt-on. It's all bolt-on.
Everything is bolt-on. No weld.
Their long arm is all bolt-on. Their brackets are freaking enormous and huge, which can cause a hanging point, in a sense, where versus welding on your brackets, they're not as...
Yeah, and they kind of tuck them up a little bit more. No matter what, depending on which one you're going with, like if you're going with a long arm, you're going to have to remove your factory brackets in the front, and also depending on certain models, you're going to remove the factory brackets in the rear because, well, they just get in the way of the new systems. But with the rock crawler in the rear, we don't have to, it belts in the factory locations, and it gives us that triangulation, and then deletes that rear track bar, which is probably one of the big reasons we chose this kit. It just gives us that more flex. All the other kits, you've got Evo, TerraFlex, Metal Cloak. Who else is out there? I mean, just all Clayton. The kits out there. Yeah, Clayton. All make great kits. I've installed some Claytons. I've liked them. I've installed JKS. They're awesome. Haven't got to mess with any of them Evo kits, but from the reviews I've seen and talking to other shop owners who put them out there, they have some good kits. They definitely have that cool double throwdown front bypass setup. It looks awesome. I've seen it perform. It also performs pretty neat. But we went with the rock crawler because the rear gives us that nice triangulation in the rear, keeps the rear end centered, but it allows us to get that extra flex out of it. It's a complete kit, includes everything you need. Bolt-on kits if you want to. It doesn't have they won't have long arms that are both in the factory location, but they're a very nice kit, good ride. They're a triple rate coil in the rear. I believe they're triple rate, or they're quad.
The quad in the rear for the Gladiators and triple in the front.
Yeah, so you get that spring that's going to stay in the pocket as you flex out, so you don't have to worry about the old Cherokees. People lift them up high, throw long arms on them. The next thing you know, springs are shooting across the thing because they wanted extra flex. And it was always cool to see on the trail, but the new triple rate coils from Rock Crawler don't allow that to happen. It'll stay in its position, and then it still allows some down pressure on that axle to make sure that tire's getting traction.
Yeah, and Rock Crawler went with of course, for the Gladiators, they did the quad rate spring because they know people are going to be using their truck bed.
Yeah, people are still going to be, even when you go to like a 40 or 37, there's still going to be some people are going to want to tow with it, and you got to make sure they have the capacity that's up there with the stock capacities, so they can do what they need to do.
You're getting that piece. Yeah, so whenever you're ready.
All right, boys, thank you. I hope that you all learned something and that you're just as excited as we are to see the transformation of carbon.
Can't wait.
So make sure you hit like and subscribe so that way you don't miss anything. See you guys.
Later.
White Knuckle Nation.